Hey Sash, how are you?
Hey Nat, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. All right, thanks.
Yeah,
I think so. I think so.
I'm good too. We're recording on a Saturday today, aren't we? So feel a bit more chilled than normal.
Yeah, I've had a nice weekend. My mum's been here. Pre-Mother's Day visit.
Yes, lovely. Yeah, Mother's Day tomorrow. And are you doing anything to celebrate as a cat mum?
As a pet parent.
Yeah, as a pet parent.
Yeah, hopefully they've got me flowers, chocolates, taking me out for a meal.
Yeah, same here. I'm sure Betty's got me a lovely present.
Yeah, husbands, can you hear this?
Yeah. Hint, hint. I know my husband is in the other room, but maybe if he is listening, this is his final chance to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, today's podcast is all about hamster rescue with the lovely Laura, who is a friend of mine, very dear friend, who loves hamsters, is involved in Ethical Hamster Rescue, but is just very much a pet person like we are and very passionate about animals and pets. So I'm looking forward to speaking to her later and learning a bit more about her little hamster pudding, but also, some of the things that she's been involved in. And hopefully she can share some tips and advice on anyone listening who is thinking about getting a hamster or wants to make improvements to their hamster's life or things, easy things they can do to give their hamster a really great life. So, excited about that.
Yeah, and our first guest, which will be nice, see how this one goes and get more on.
Indeed. Long may that continue. So, and how's Weaver and Murray doing this week?
They're all right. They're good. We've had a week of sort of pooey bums. I'm not quite sure where it's come from. It suddenly just sort of appears. But we've got one of them settled. The other one's Weaver's just still a little bit kind of loose. But we've tried her on some procolin, which is like a probiotic. She sort of likes it but doesn't overly love it, so I'm doing a bit of research into some other supplements and probiotics, and I've tried a few before but they just don't like the taste, so I've done a little bit of research and found some that I might give a go. But the sort of supplements for cats seems really hard to come by. There's such a good range for dogs, but the cats ones are less available, so I think there's a real gap in the market there. It's interesting.
And so are these tablets to kind of settle tummies?
Yeah, settle tummies, help with a bit of bloating. She's got a little bit of wind at the moment.
I don't think I've ever heard a cat.
No, exactly. Me neither until I got Weaver. Yeah,
Windy Weaver.
Windy Weaver. Oh, bless her. Give her a new nickname. Yeah, so she's a bit farty at the moment. It's getting better. But yeah, I'm going to try these pre and probiotics. Let's see if they work. The ones out there at the moment are quite like medical and a bit scary looking. They're not very warm and reassuring. So there's a gap out there, people.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Sometimes you can buy these things and you think, what is this? Like, am I...
and she's fushy with flavours as well, and I think there needs to be a few more different flavours, so we'll see. I've got these new ones, so I'm going to try them, see what happens. How's Betty getting along anyway? What's going down with her at the moment? Yeah,
there's a bit of a poo theme here, I think, this week, because...
Great.
Little Betty is... we've had a few accidents with poopy, as I call it. One of the symptoms of pug myelopathy is a bit of incontinence.
Okay, so it's related.
Not saying that she has got that because we're still waiting for the neurologist appointment to diagnose it properly. But that is one of the things that can happen. And it seems to be happening to Betty's bottom in that she is doing a poo without realising. So we've never had any accidents really with Betty unless she has been unwell, but this is it's like a solid poo. Sorry to overshare, but it's like her normal poo, but it's kind of coming out without her realising. So she was on the bed yesterday morning, as we normally are. I'm getting up, getting ready. She's on the bed. She'll wait there until we go off for our morning walk once I'm up and running. And it just kind of came out. And I think she just looked so disgusted and so, in my view, so sad, because it was like, what's this?
Yeah.
Why is this here? And she kind of moved over to the other side of the bed. And you can't be cross because it's clearly just happening. And then I sort of picked her up to take her out and more kind of slipped out.
Poor little
so
love.
just having to watch that at the minute, and I think for me now I might have to change. Well, I will change my routines rather than getting up, getting ready, and then taking Betty out. I think I'm just going to sling some clothes on as soon as I wake up and take her out. So she's not waiting too long. Bless her.
It's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, exactly. Just a small change, but touch wood with the wee, it's okay. She's not...
Are you worried about it? Will you go and talk to the vet, or are you just going to sort of play it out until this neurologist appointment then?
I'm not worried as in, I was kind of expecting it, or have been expecting it ever since I was reading up on it, and some of the things that if your pug does have this myelopathy, like what can happen. So if anything, it confirms my suspicions that that's what she has. But we might have to get some little nappies just to be on the safe side. But we're still doing the physio, so we're doing that weekly at Battersea, and I've got some physio exercises to do with her at least 3 times a week at home. Ooh. So maybe in the next episode I can talk you through those and just share some of the things that we're trying. And still early days, but they did say if I do commit to it and make sure that I do it 3 times a week, I should see some improvements, as well as with their support and the appointment that we have for the laser therapy.
Oh, amazing.
Thing is, it's just getting the right time to do it with Betty, because if it's near dinner time, she gets too excited and then won't focus. And then, like now, she's snoring away alongside me, and then you kind of think, I don't really want to wake her and start getting her to do exercises, because she's just enjoying chilling out. So
sounds like me.
Worked out, yeah. When is the right time? I mean, for me, I love going to the gym on an evening, but, she's just got food on her mind. On an evening.
I can feel her, sleep or food, yeah.
So there you go. So we're still trying that.
Yeah, good luck.
But we shall see.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I was at Crufts last weekend.
Ooh.
So
how did you find it?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings, if I'm fair.
Is that the first time you've been?
Yeah, I was a first timer, so I really didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I just bought a standard day ticket. I wasn't there for the whole weekend. Just went on the Sunday. And I know there's been some controversy this year about the call for the winner to lose award. The award that they got with their dog for an animal cruelty conviction from the past. And I haven't read up too much on that, so really probably focus on that. I don't, in terms of what to say about that. Yeah, I mean, I went along for 2 reasons, really. One was to support some of the animal charities that I'm involved with as a volunteer. So Pets for Therapy were there, and they had a stand to promote the work that they do. And I'm a Pets for Therapy volunteer, so cool. It's nice to go along and chat to them and see their stand and see that they were getting lots of people coming up wanting to know more about the charity and the dogs, so that was great. And I actually also wanted to do some shopping for Betty because I've been kind of on the hunt for some hydration drinks or some hydration products, because I think since she's been on the pain relief for also, because I think I'd mentioned before, she might have the myelopathy, but also some arthritis. So she is on some pain relief for the arthritis. And I think since she's been taking that, she's not been as keen to drink water. I don't know why. Might be a coincidence, but she's definitely not drinking as much as she was. So I was hoping I could find some products that I could give to her that she would think is food. And actually I did find a chicken broth powder, which you just mix up with water. And I think she thinks that's like having a soup or something. So that was good. I was just on the lookout for some products and seeing what was out there for doggies. I didn't actually watch any of the shows, but it is an overwhelming day. It's busy, loud, lots of dogs. So if you are a dog lover...
So people take their dogs, I suppose they would, wouldn't they? Take their dogs along?
Yeah, you can't actually take your dog as just a general member of the public. But if you are there to compete and you're bringing your dog as part of the shows, then you can. So there's lots of people wandering around with dogs. And then there were stands for different dog breeds. And I think if you are interested in getting a dog and you want to learn more and educate yourself about the breeds, then that is a good place to start because... talks about their needs and just things to be aware of. So that was handy. I mean, I would really have liked to have seen a bit more of a focus on rescue dogs, and I don't think there was as many charities there promoting that, and that sort of adopt, don't shop message. So, yeah, maybe something for Crufts to think about next time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to know that there's other things going on other than the shows and the category type stuff, because I wasn't aware that there was so much of a sort of promotion behind that with products and services and charities and groups that were there as well. So knowing that Pets as Therapy were there and some other sort of charity groups like that, it's good. At least there's kind of like an array of different stuff around for people. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, I got chatting to a charity called Pet Blood Bank.
Ooh. We talked about this.
Yes, we did, didn't we? Which, funnily enough, I then saw them and went over and had a chat. So they were recruiting dogs to be life-saving blood donors. There's particular breeds that make a good blood donor. So I also asked them if they'd be interested to have a chat on this podcast in the future. I think they were
wicked.
They were happy for me to approach them anyway. So I had a chat to them, and then also there was a wonderful charity called Thin Blue Paw Foundation working with retired police dogs. So I got to spend a bit of time with them, and also West Midlands Police were there. And met some of their police sniffer dogs, so very excitable, energetic spaniels, and then also medical detection dogs, which was amazing. They have bio dogs, so sniffing out different diseases as sort of part of kind of diagnosing conditions, and then also assistance dogs for people with specific medical conditions like diabetes. So brilliant. Yeah, really, really enlightening. I ran out of time, but in a way, a day was enough. But yeah, so.
Good. Well, we made some great contacts there, because obviously it'd be great to get some other guests in. And I know I've been sort of talking and reaching out to a few people. So we've got a few lined up for future episodes, which will be amazing. So tune in, everybody. The door's just going, Sash. Let me pause. Hold on. A lady's just bought me a bread and butter pudding, a neighbour.
Oh, that's so kind.
That's sweet.
I need some bread and butter pudding in my life right now. Something just comforting, comfort food. I think we'll stop there and then welcome our guest for this podcast, a lovely friend of mine called Laura, who does a lot of work with Ethical Hamster Rescue charities. She's a hamster mom to a wonderful hamster called Pudding, and like Natalie and I, just obsessed with animals, loves animals, been a lifelong animal lover. So really pleased to have you here today, Laura.
Welcome, Laura.
Welcome, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're our first ever guest on the Pause Between Us podcast.
No pressure then.
No pressure. No pressure.
You might not have any more after this.
You are always welcome.
Well, I love to talk about animals, so I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah, so just tell us, what is it about animals that you love?
I honestly don't know where it started, really. I think I've always loved them, and it was strange in my family because my immediate family were not animal lovers at all, but it was always just there for me. I just always loved animals, and as soon as I was able to, started volunteering at a vet, and that kind of solidified my love of animals, small animals, but also the practice that I volunteered with was a farm animal practice. So I got to go and see the cows and all things like that. So yeah, just all animals. And I think it's just, there's something calming about being with animals. Yeah. There's something really lovely in being able to give them the care they need, and they give what they give back to you in terms of their kind of affection. It's a very uncomplicated kind of love and relationship. Sometimes I prefer their company to humans. I love humans too, but sometimes the company of animals is just calming and just really lovely. So yeah, I love them all, and I would love to have a massive house and a giant garden with a huge menagerie of small and large animals. So that's...
Wouldn't we all?
I think we share that dream with you, Laura.
Yeah, we do.
As someone who lives in a flat, I would love to have a big house with a garden where I could have lots of animals, and you could come and visit them and I could visit yours.
Yeah, I know. I want to get a garden that I can have like a rescue donkey and a sheep and all chickens and ducks. That'd be so amazing.
Oh, I'd love a cow as well.
You need to do it.
A cow, yeah. Oh, I went to a sanctuary. I went to a sanctuary once and saw. I think it was called Bill the blind cow, and he was gorgeous, and it was just beautiful, big thing. He was just and being looked after by this rescue centre, which was so cute.
Oh, it's so lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that is. And, I know you well, Laura, and I know you have a real loving, nurturing side. And you're currently a mom to a hamster called Pudding. So tell us about Pudding.
So Pudding, I don't know exactly how old she is. She's probably around a year old. She was a rescue. She is a Russian dwarf hamster. And she was very feisty when I first got her from the rescue. I got her in August last year. She was very feisty, very keen with her teeth, shall we say. And yeah, very flighty. But we have now become very good friends. It took a while to kind of get her tame, but now she'll kind of come running when she hears my voice, and she'll kind of climb up and come out for time in her playpen. And yeah, she's very greedy, very active, and she loves to burrow. And she loves flowers. She loves kind of foraging in dried flowers. Yeah, so she's a joy. She really is. She's really lovely, and it's nice to see her sort of come on a journey from being very afraid and very bitey to being a very friendly little dwarf. Yeah.
Do you still have the hamster cam?
I do. I have ham cam on all the time. Keep an eye on her. Yeah. I have overnight, get to see, make sure she's active, like make sure everything's okay. And obviously if I go away for one night or something, I can just keep an eye on her and make sure she's okay. So yeah, no, always have hamster cam on, like permanently now. And you can now get them. There's a company who have made special attachments for the most kind of common ethical cages, and we can come back to that, but where you can attach a certain type of camera to the lid of the cage so you can kind of see the whole enclosure. So I'm thinking about investing in one of those in the not too distant future. So yeah, definitely always spying on her and making sure she's okay.
What a great idea. I had Russian dwarf hamsters in my day, Laura. They were my hamster of choice.
I love that. They are cute. Absolutely my hamster of choice. I think she's maybe my 13th or 14th Russian dwarf hamster, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Russian dwarfs have always been my favourite. I mean, I love a Syrian hamster. There's Roborovsky dwarfs as well. They're very cute. Would absolutely have any of them, but I do have a special place in my heart for a Russian dwarf.
Me too. It's brought back memories.
Yeah, they're so lovely.
I didn't even realise there was a difference between different breeds of hamsters.
Yeah, the three most common ones that you get. So the Syrians are kind of the bigger hamsters that kind of most people had when they were a kid. That's usually the Syrian hamsters. And then, yeah, you've got three. You've got three types, most common types of dwarf hamsters. You've got the Russian dwarf, which is what Pudding is. You've got Roborovskys, which are even smaller, and they have these really cute little white eyebrows, and they are super fast. And you've got the Chinese dwarf hamster. They're less common, but you can still find them, and they're kind of slightly longer, and they've got slightly longer tails as well. So yeah, they're the main ones that you find in the UK.
What is it about the Russian dwarfs then that you really like?
I think it's just because they're tiny, but they're not so tiny. They can become very tame. They're handleable, but there's just something about that. The way their eyes are in their head, they're kind of big eyes, and they're just very round. Like the way they they sit, they look like little like fluff balls. There's just something about them that just has always. I don't know. You know, some animals you're just like, oh, you're so cute. I just love you so much. That's just Russian dwarfs have always done that for me.
Same.
And I think they also just get a rough deal. I think people think because they're so small, they don't need much space and they don't need much. And I think they've always just had a bit of a rough deal, the dwarf hamster. So, I mean, Syrian hamsters do too. Do not get me wrong. But I think there's just something about their little faces and their little round bodies that I just love.
They're so cute.
I want to come down to visit you now and have a little stroke and a cuddle with Pudding.
Always welcome. Yeah. You're always welcome.
Thank you. I mean, you touched on there about things to sort of consider for hamster ownership. What are the other things that some of our listeners maybe need to bear in mind if they're thinking of getting a Russian dwarf or any hamster?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I got my first hamster when I was maybe like 11 or 12, maybe slightly older. And the research into them and the care that they need has moved on a huge amount since then. And I think there's a lot of myths about hamsters and hamster ownership that are still out there, and a lot of misinformation even from pet shops about what it is that hamsters need. I think quite often they're sold as starter pets and stuff like that, sensitive, and they do have quite a high degree of need, and they do need a lot more space than I think people realize. So there's a lot of organizations out there that have done research, and actually a lot of the research into what we call ethical hamster care, so like the gold standard of hamster care now in kind of the 2020s, comes out of Germany actually, and there's an organization in Germany that have set kind of minimum ethical standards for hamster care, and it's kind of based on evidence-based research looking at what hamsters need to not be stressed and to be happy. And that means that the the cage requirements now are so big. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I can get this small hamster cage and pop it in the corner of a room. But actually now the ethical minimum standard for a hamster cage now is 100 centimeters in length by 50 centimeters in depth and at least 50 centimeters tall. So it's an awful lot bigger. You're looking like well over a meter. I think the cage I've got is nearly 120. So you're looking at, it's big. It is big. And when people see it, they're like, whoa, like I can't believe how big that is. But that's what's been shown to kind of reduce the stress. They also need all of that space to kind of display their natural behaviors. And that's, you know, in the kind of animal welfare space, you know, an animal's ability to display its natural behaviors is all what welfare is about. And so, and that means, you know, hamsters in the wild run miles a night. So they need to move around. Yeah, and they have bad eyesight anyway, but they're not good at seeing depth at all. So a hamster will quite happily leap from your hand because it's got no idea that that's dangerous because it can't really tell how high it is. So all of these cages that you get with all of these multiple levels actually aren't great for them because they'll just throw themselves off because they don't have that depth fear. They can't sense height. So what the recommendation is kind of that floor space unbroken. You don't need the levels. You just need that floor space unbroken. And obviously in the wild, they live underground, so they love to burrow. And so you need to provide them with a depth of bedding where they can create burrows and a type of bedding that you can create burrows in. I think the minimum requirement they say is about 6 inches of bedding across the whole cage, and some areas should be deeper. So like even up to like 10 inches. And you know, some of the hamsters I've had in the past, when I first get them, they won't burrow. And you think, oh, am I providing all of this bedding and they're not burrowing in it? And then suddenly they'll start, it's like they find their natural instinct to do it. And then they'll start burrowing. So, you know, there's so many other kind of considerations to let them, you know, have their natural behavior, like providing them with like dried leaves and flowers and seeds to forage, because that's what they would do in the wild. Providing them lots of places to hide because they're a prey species. So they want to be kind of hiding. So we talk about in the kind of hamster community, if you like, these sprays, which are like the long stems of like seeds. So like millet, which you give to birds, stuff like that, wheat sprays, oat sprays, all of these things that you kind of hear about, you can provide them as kind of coverage, but also as food for them to eat. So they'll kind of climb these sprays and eat them. So all of this stuff that just allows them to display their natural behaviors and feel safe. And then obviously a hamster wheel, we still, you know, that's still absolutely the recommendation because there's no way in any cage that they're going to be able to run as far as they would in a night. But the difference between, you know, if I look back when I first got a hamster and now is the size of wheel that we would recommend. So a hamster should be able to run with a flat back. So you're looking at, so I think for small dwarf hamsters, which Pudding, she is quite small. I think the diameter of the wheel has to be 21 centimeters. For a Syrian hamster, I think, you know, you're kind of looking at up to 30 centimeters. So these are huge wheels that they need to be able to run in. So their back isn't bent because otherwise they can end up in later life with bent back. So a lot of the cages you get come with very small wheels, which will be bad for their back. So there are so many considerations that I don't think that people realize because, you know, those kind of colorful cages with all the tubes and everything are still out there, but really they don't allow the hamster to display its natural behavior. And so it's not what's recommended anymore. So things have really moved on. And if I look back at what my care was like when I was a teenager, it's very different from what I'm doing now. Yeah, you just have to try and do your best.
That's so helpful, Laura, like just those small little things just to make people aware of that, because like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I had hamsters when I was a kid and I had a fairly big enclosure. But I feel guilty now for not doing more. But like, it's without education, and I think that's what we need to do is like teach people just little things. It's not about preaching, but it's about just educating, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's about coming at it from a place of compassion. You know, I have similarly felt guilty about the care I gave in the past, but I was doing my best with the knowledge I had at the time. And I think a lot of people are, you know, given advice which doesn't align with this. And you know, we're talking about, you know, kind of, we call it like ethical hamster care, and people don't know and attack it. People are doing their best. People, you know, love their animals. They're trying to do the best by them. But if they don't know, then, you know, they can't change. And it's not cheap. I think that's the other thing that people think about hamsters. Oh, it's kind of a cheap animal to have. I mean, they're not really. They're not, you know, if you look at the enclosures, some of the enclosures are really expensive. There are cheaper alternatives. There are things that you can do. You need to provide the right kind of bedding as well. And that can become expensive now because a lot of the sawdust they sell in pet shops or the wood chips are made from pine, which is high in a chemical called phenols, and hamsters have very sensitive respiratory systems, and actually it's recommended that you don't use that because it can lead to respiratory problems. So you have to look for safe alternatives. There are some safe wood beddings out there that you can use, but I personally use paper bedding, but it's very expensive. And then, you've got vet fees. Hamsters also can't get wet. To wash themselves, they need sand, so you have to provide a big sand bath for them to kind of roll around in to keep them clean. The sand isn't that cheap either. So it adds up, and vet bills, people are sometimes like to me, I can't believe how much you've spent on your hamster. And I'm like, well, of course I am. She's a sentient being who needs that care. Of course I've spent that. So it can very quickly add up. So they're not cheap either.
Wow. You have so much knowledge. It's so impressive.
It's great.
Oh, you know me. I love information. I like to fall down a rabbit hole. And find out everything that I can and try and do my best. But I think with animals, I've always been like this. I've always tried to read all the books and do the best that I can. So, and hamsters are no exception.
It comes across.
Yeah. And what would be a good starting point for someone then? They're listening today and they're thinking, oh, wow, this is really informative. I want to know more. Are there any kind of websites or books or resources you'd recommend?
Yeah, there's a really good website called hamsterwelfare.com, which has got a list of kind of requirements. It's got lists of the cages out there that people can buy that are kind of meet the standard requirements. It talks about the depth of bedding, talks about how best to feed them, what kind of bedding is safe, what isn't, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was this website that was started by somebody who bought a Syrian hamster and had all the best intentions and was using a lot of stuff that's readily available. There are a lot of unsafe items on sale, and was buying that kind of fluffy hamster bedding, which I have also used in the past. But actually it turns out that hamsters quite often eat it and it can't be digested and it can block their digestive system. And that's what happened to his hamster, and he kind of went on a journey of understanding and got a vet to understand whether it was the bedding that had got stuck, and then kind of learned more about kind of ethical hamster care and what products are safe and what aren't, and wanted a resource out there for other people to be able to go to find out all of this information, because he felt like he could have avoided the situation if he'd known, because like we say, you don't know what you don't know. So it's a really great resource for everything out there, and it lists a whole list of places to rescue hamsters from, to adopt hamsters from, but all of the safe information on there. So it's a great resource if people are interested in getting sort of started with a setup, and it's got great pictures and videos of good cage setups in there as well that you can take inspiration from.
Well, that's handy. So something quite practical.
Yeah, definitely.
I think my Murray can hear this talk of rodents because he keeps walking in front of the camera.
He's like, where's that hamster for my snack? Yeah.
He's like back and forth, bless him.
Yeah, he definitely seems keen, doesn't he? He's
not normally
he's picked up on something. I mean, in terms of the hamster rescue side that you're involved in, are these some of the reasons why hamsters end up in care? Because people don't appreciate what's involved in looking after them. They don't realise there's costs for vet bills and for all the food and the cages and everything.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's a huge number of reasons, I think, why hamsters end up in rescue. I think, if I'm being really honest, one of them is that they get bought for children, and the children get bored and they don't want to look after them anymore. That's a common reason that we see. One of the other ones is, this is another recommendation that changed from when I was younger, was that all hamsters should be kept alone. So Syrian hamsters always had to be kept alone because they fight. They're very territorial. But they used to advise that you could keep dwarf hamsters in groups, but they don't recommend that anymore. They're actually much happier on their own. In the wild, they've got miles and miles to get away from each other if they're annoyed. In a cage, they don't have that same space. So it's definitely recommended to keep them on their own. But the advice sometimes is still out there. So what happens is you get particularly dwarf hamsters kept in groups, and the different sexes are not separated, and you end up with huge litters. And then you end up with people and they don't separate the babies early enough, so then the babies get pregnant. So you end up with these people with huge numbers of hamsters that they then can't cope with. So that's part of another reason that they come into kind of rescues. Yeah, so there's a huge variety of reasons, but there are so many hamsters that need homes. And some of the rescues will look on places where hamsters are being sold on things like Facebook or Gumtree, and they will try and bring the hamsters into an ethical rescue so that we can make sure they're going to a good home with a good sized cage. So yeah, there's lots of different routes in.
It feels to me like there needs to be more done at the pet shop kind of end, the retail end, because it feels like the responsibility needs to be on them. Is there anything that's happening? Like, is there any kind of movement to campaign towards that at all?
Yeah, there are lots of, adopt, don't shop, rescue, not retail. There are a lot of kind of things out there, and I definitely think it stands true for hamsters, particularly for those small animals. I think especially while there's a lot of unsuitable cages out there, but also similar to some of the issues they have in like dog breeding, a lot of the hamsters for retail come from rodent mills, and they're not very well bred. And we see what we see in lots of other species as well, which is health problems coming through because they're not being bred correctly. There's lots of inherent issues in dwarf species, especially with diabetes and eye problems and lots of other things. So I think it's really important for the health of the animal. And I think it's really difficult as someone who loves owning pets and loves owning hamsters to say, stop selling them. I could understand why people don't want that, because then you're like, well, how am I going to get my hamsters? Yeah. But the reality is these animals are not, they're not happy, and they're not always going to good homes. And there are so many hamsters that need rescuing that we need to fix that problem first, and find better ways of getting them from kind of breeders, so that we're not breeding all of these animals that have complications. And I
kind of don't like the arrogance of us as a human species. This kind of really sad. We need to just be more open to learning about our pets and our animal companions, and make life better for them and not just for us, and not convenient for us. I think there's so much more we've got more responsibility. We're an intelligent species. We've been around a long time. We need to do better than we do now.
Completely agree. And I think I remember thinking to myself at one point, as much as I would love to own hamsters forever, I'd rather never own one again and make sure that, they're not suffering because we're breeding them to be kept as pets, then I would that carry on, even if I never got to have another one, it'd be very sad, but it's not our right to have these animals as pets, while they're out there and they need rescuing, I will keep doing it. But I think I'd rather let it go and then be a better as a species and be happy. But it's difficult, I think, isn't it? Like to grapple with, but you're right. It comes from a place of human arrogance.
Yeah. Oh my God, Murray is wanting the love today. He's really all he's purring into the mic. I don't know if it was picked up earlier.
Oh, I'd like to hear a little purr. I can't hear anything, but no. Can't beat a bit of purring. But yeah, I mean, it's so wonderful to hear you both saying this, because it's so true, isn't it? I think we need to bring about change. We should start a campaign, adopt, don't shop, across all different pets, because I think you hear that more for dogs and cats, don't you? Like adopt a rescue dog instead of buying one or buying a puppy. But I'm not sure there's much awareness, or as much awareness, about hamsters and other.
I mean, I could go on a whole thing about rabbits as well. I mean, there's a lot of the same problems, and guinea pigs too. But I think small animals quite often are seen as these like starter pets, or they don't need much space. There's still a lot of this misinformation is out there. So I could go on another tangent about them. But I think for small animals, absolutely, there's so many out there that need rescuing. There's so many out there that are being bred in not great ways. That's creating more issues for them. So. And there's plenty that need rescuing. So if you can rescue, absolutely do. And it's so rewarding, like I said, to bring in an animal that's not had a great start, that's angry at the world, and then it becomes, loving and, and happy. And you think, well, I helped there. It's only one tiny hamster, but, I helped there.
Yeah, you made the world a difference. Like little Pudding. Started out as a little bit angry and a little bit feisty, and now adores you.
I've seen so much more from hamsters. I mean, I've been on some social media sites, and there's lovely people out there who adore their hamsters, and the recall that they seem to have, and the fact they'll take themselves to bed and they've got freedom to roam. It's just it's amazing. I didn't know they had that much intelligence. It's just gorgeous to look at. Yeah,
I see people out there teaching the hamsters to spin and stuff like that, like you would do with the dog. I mean, Pudding, she will come to, if I call her, if I'm like, or when she's out, she has a playpen with lots of other toys in it, which is big and right in front of me at the moment, but and it's got another wheel in it, so she comes out there in the evenings sometimes to have a play. And if I say do you want uppies, and she's ready to go home, she'll run to a certain point and stand on top of her log and stand on her back paws, and that means I'm ready to go home now, put me back. But if I say it when she's not ready, she just won't bother. Sometimes I have to be like, sweet. It's time now, we have to go to bed. But because obviously they're nocturnal, that's the other consideration. They are nocturnal.
And I think everything you're saying about letting animals be animals is just sending my brain whirring here, thinking that could apply to so many other pets as well, and something for us to explore. Natalie, what does it really mean to be a cat or a dog or other animals? Like, what are the things that we need to do to support them? Just be themselves, I guess. And people get pets for all the right reasons. Well, they always have good intentions, but yeah, things don't always work out in the right way. And sometimes that can be a little bit of a selfish thing too. So sort of mindful of that, having listened to you today, thinking about what can I do to support Betty that is right for her, not always about what's right for me.
One thing that I really changed with dogs, just thinking about let dogs be dogs, is when I'm sort of walking dogs, when they're sniffing, I think quite often you're kind of like, come on, like we got to get going. But actually that's how they explore the world. It's how they understand the world. That's actually like the mental stimulation for them. And that is them going on a walk, is them sniffing. So now I'm much more like patient and let them like sniff for like 20 minutes and be like, okay, you're enjoying this, like you can do that. And it's a small thing, and I'm not saying you can always do it because life is imperfect, but there are small things that we can do that just let them like be more dog, or be more cat, or whatever.
My whole drive with my animals is to try and give them as much autonomy and choice as possible. So I love to just kind of let them, choose where they want to sleep, choose where they want to go, when they want to eat to some degree. I mean, we kind of measure food out so they're not overgorging. But if I can do that and give them freedom to live as they want to live, that's where I'm aiming to get to.
Yeah, if we did that with the dog, if we just had free food for the dog that I spend most of my time with, she lives across the road, but I've known her since she was a puppy, and I see her 3 or 4 times a week. If we left food out all the time, it would be dangerous. But I totally agree with you in principle, but she would think she was...
No, for some animals you can't.
Yeah, I think Betty would eat me if she could.
Oh, yeah.
All day.
We're under no illusions that if something happened to us, Sky would absolutely eat us. Absolutely.
This is obviously a difference between cats and dogs. So my cats have been very well free feeders, but I know there's a lot of other sort of side to it with some cats that can overeat and get obese. So you've got to be careful. I'm not saying everyone should do that.
I know, absolutely. But I totally agree with you. Like they deserve that autonomy, and they deserve to show those behaviours and a bit of control over their own life, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Thank you. So interesting. Thanks for sharing. I mean, doing this with other people on other subjects in a very lovely sort of just gentle way, I think is the way to sort of help people understand more. So thank you, Laura.
That's all right. I think, the message to people, it's okay if you're not doing it. It's okay if you got it wrong. Like, do your best. And if you can't transition to an amazing hamster setup immediately, do the small things, like get the size of the cage right first. And then, try and add in the other things as you go. Like, just do the best that you can. And it's okay if you didn't know this before. Like, that's okay. We all started somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. More than happy to share it. And I hope it's...
Love that.
Thank you. It is. We're all learning. But yeah, really appreciate you coming on our podcast.
Thank you for having me and just letting me talk about my favourite topics.
Yeah. We could talk all day about this, couldn't we? I mean, there's so many more things I want to ask, but
there are. Yeah, maybe it's another session. Yeah, another session.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much.
Laura.